Stingray. The stingray is as close to a gentle giant as the ocean offers, gliding silently along the sandy floor on wings that can span over 2 meters. But that gentleness disappears the moment you step on one. Their sole weapon is a serrated barb at the base of the tail, coated in venom, and it exists purely for defense. Most injuries happen when a swimmer or wader accidentally presses down on a resting ray buried in the sand, triggering a reflexive upward whip. The resulting puncture causes immediate, intense pain along with swelling and potential infection. Fatalities are genuinely rare, but they do happen. The most famous example came in September 2006, when television presenter Steve Irwin, who had spent his career handling some of the world's deadliest animals, was killed instantly when a stingray barb pierced directly through his heart and lungs. Stingrays are not out to get you, but the ocean floor is their living room, and it pays to shuffle your feet when you walk through it. Moray eel. The moray eel looks exactly as threatening as it sounds. Long, muscular, scaled like armor plating, and usually photographed with its mouth wide open, showing rows of needle-sharp teeth. That gaping mouth is not aggression. It is simply how they breathe, drawing water across their gills. But the real secret to what makes a moray so terrifying is something you would never see coming. They possess a second set of jaws called pharyngeal jaws, tucked deep in the throat, that shoot forward the instant prey is caught, gripping it and pulling it back before it can escape. No other vertebrate hunts like this. Morays can grow to 3 meters long in some species and are fiercely territorial about their crevices. They do not attack humans unprovoked, but a hand reaching blindly into a reef crack has ended badly more times than divers care to admit. On top of the bite risk, their flesh contains toxins and can be fatal if consumed. Harmless at a glance, deeply unpleasant on closer inspection. Lionfish. The lionfish might be the most beautiful thing in the ocean that you absolutely should not touch. Brown and white stripes running the full length of its body, flowing pectoral fins spread wide like a peacock's, and up to 18 venomous spines extending from its back, pelvis, and anal fin like ornate daggers in a display case. Native to the Indo-Pacific, it has since spread invasively across the Atlantic, Caribbean, and Mediterranean, where it has no natural predators and is dismantling reef ecosystems at alarming speed. The venom in those spines causes immediate and extreme pain, swelling, nausea, and in rare but documented cases, temporary paralysis and respiratory difficulty. Deaths are uncommon but not impossible. The lionfish does not hunt humans. Injuries happen when divers get too close or fishermen handle them carelessly. What makes them particularly galling is that this devastatingly invasive species is, according to chefs who have tried it, absolutely delicious to eat, though you have to remove the spines very carefully first. Portuguese man-of-war. It looks like a deflated party balloon floating on the surface, tinged electric blue and violet, trailing what appears to be a modest cluster of threads below. That appearance is entirely misleading. The Portuguese man-of-war is not a jellyfish. It is a siphonophore, a colonial organism made up of thousands of individual creatures called zooids, each performing a specific function, all operating as one terrifying unit. Those trailing threads are tentacles that can extend up to 30 meters below the surface, studded with venom-loaded stinging cells that fire on contact. The sting leaves vivid red, whip-like welts across the skin and causes searing, white-hot pain that can last for hours. In severe cases, the venom triggers an anaphylactic reaction that can swell the throat shut or send the body into shock. The man-of-war can sting even when dead and washed onto a beach, where its deflated body remains toxic for hours. There is no treatment that reliably neutralizes the sting. You simply endure it. Flower urchin. The flower urchin is proof that the ocean has a cruel sense of humor. It looks genuinely beautiful. A rounded ball covered in what appear to be small, soft, white-petaled flowers, pastel and delicate. The kind of thing a child might want to pick up and examine. Those flowers are actually pedicellariae, venomous appendages capable of detaching and clinging to whatever they touch while continuing to pump toxin. The Guinness World Records has officially declared it the most dangerous sea urchin on the planet. Growing up to 28 centimeters wide across reefs and seagrass beds of the Indo-West Pacific, contact with a flower urchin triggers immediate and severe pain, followed by respiratory paralysis. Victims have drowned after a chance encounter in shallow water. Unlike most urchins, whose spines are the primary concern, the flower urchin attacks from both its spines and its petal-like appendages. It is, in the truest sense, a trap disguised as something worth picking up. Sea snake. There are roughly 60 species of sea snake, and the majority of them are venomous. Most are docile and will swim away from a diver without incident, but provoke one, and the equation changes rapidly. The title of most venomous marine snake belongs to the Dubois sea snake, found in the waters around Australia, Papua New Guinea, and New Caledonia, a species so toxic that it ranks in the top 3 most venomous snakes on the entire planet, land or sea. Its tiny fangs deliver a bite so mild you might barely notice it. That mildness is the problem. The venom is a powerful neurotoxin that causes nausea, dizziness, collapse, and muscle necrosis, with symptoms sometimes not appearing for hours. The beaked sea snake, common across the Indian Ocean, is responsible for the majority of sea snake bites in humans and causes muscle breakdown that can lead to kidney failure. Antivenom coverage is inconsistent across species, and in parts of the world where these snakes are most common, antivenom is not always readily available. Cone snail. The cone snail is perhaps the single most absurdly misleading creature in the entire ocean. It sits motionless on the seafloor or hides beneath sand, wearing a shell so ornately patterned and beautifully colored that humans have been collecting them for centuries. Some of those collectors have paid with their lives. The cone snail fires a harpoon-like modified tooth called a radula tooth from a flexible proboscis that can reach anywhere on its own body, including backward, meaning picking up the shell from what appears to be the safe end offers zero protection. That tooth injects conotoxin, a venom so complex and fast-acting that there is no antivenom for any cone snail species. The geography cone is the most dangerous, responsible for at least 30 confirmed human deaths. The venom causes localized pain and numbness before spreading to full-body paralysis and respiratory failure. The cone snail has earned a grim nickname among marine biologists, the cigarette snail. The idea is that after a serious envenomation, you might have just enough time to smoke one last cigarette. Stonefish. The stonefish is officially the most venomous fish on Earth, as recognized by the Guinness World Records, which makes it particularly unfortunate that it looks absolutely nothing like a fish. It looks like a barnacle-encrusted rock, a clump of dead coral, a patch of algae on the seafloor. Its mottled brown, orange, and gray texture is so convincing that divers swim over them and snorkelers step directly on them without ever registering that they have made contact with a living animal. Buried on the sandy bottoms and rocky reefs of the Indo-Pacific, the stonefish has 13 dorsal spines that discharge venom when pressure is applied. The resulting pain is described by victims and medical professionals as among the most severe that a human being can experience. Immediate, catastrophic agony radiating up the limb, accompanied by tissue death, heart complications, and potential paralysis. The standard emergency measure while waiting for antivenom is submerging the affected area in water as hot as can be tolerated, around 45 degrees Celsius, which helps denature the protein-based toxin. Antivenom exists and is effective, but time is the enemy. Blue-ringed octopus. The blue-ringed octopus is smaller than the palm of a human hand, golden yellow in color, and patterned with rings that glow a vivid, pulsing, iridescent blue when the animal feels threatened. That bioluminescent display is a warning. For species exist, scattered across tide pools and coral reefs of the Pacific and Indian Oceans, primarily around Australia and Japan. Each one carries enough tetrodotoxin to kill 26 adult humans. There is no antivenom. Tetrodotoxin blocks sodium channels in nerve cells, causing complete motor paralysis while the victim remains conscious. The bite itself is almost painless, which is one of the most terrifying aspects of this animal. People have been envenomated and not realized it until their vision blurred and their limbs stopped responding. The only treatment is mechanical ventilation until the toxin clears the system, which can take hours. They are not aggressive. They will flash their rings. They are giving you every warning they can. It is simply your responsibility to pay attention. Great white shark. The great white shark is the most famous predator in the ocean, and it earned that reputation by being genuinely dangerous. Growing up to 6 meters long and weighing over 2,000 kilograms, The great white carries multiple rotating rows of serrated triangular teeth and is capable of detecting blood in the water from approximately 5 kilometers away. According to the International Shark Attack File, great whites are responsible for more unprovoked shark attacks on humans than any other. Looking at the text, it's already in English. However, it seems to be an auto-generated transcript, with timestamps and some OCR/speech-to-text errors. Let me clean it up with correct punctuation and grammar, and adapt the names to feel more universal/community appropriate. Hashtag the family reunion. Seth leaned against the fridge, beer in hand, that smug half-grin glued to his face. Relax. We needed it more than you. I blinked, my thumb hovering over the refresh button on my banking app. I'd already hit it 3 times. It still showed the same number, $4.87. That couldn't be right. Yesterday I had over $14,000. 14,000. You what? My voice cracked a little. Sarah, my sister, let out a laugh from the couch. She looked completely unbothered, legs curled under her. Sipping wine like this was just another episode of family game night. Oh, don't be so dramatic, she said. It's not like we stole it. We're family. You drained my account. It's not draining if we're going to pay it back, Seth added with a shrug. Eventually. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. I looked at Mom, sitting across the room with her knitting. She didn't even glance up. Mom, I said louder. Did you know about this? She sighed like I just accused her of ruining dinner. Sweetheart, you're always so sensitive. You have a good job, no mortgage, no kids. You live alone. You're fine. So that justifies stealing from me? Language, Dad muttered without looking up from his phone. I turned to Sarah. How did you even get access? You left your info on the family computer, she said, unapologetic. Maybe next time don't log in and walk away. Honestly, it's your own fault. My own fault. I stopped myself. My fingers curled into fists, my breathing gone shallow. You're making this a bigger deal than it needs to be, Seth said. It's not like we wasted it on nonsense. We paid rent, bought groceries, survived. You didn't ask. We didn't think we had to, Sarah snapped. You've been paying for stuff for years. What's the difference if it comes through you or from you? I picked up my bag slowly. No one moved. No one apologized. No one even looked surprised. You're leaving already? Mom asked. Yep, I said, zipping my coat. But don't worry, I'll be in touch. Don't be like that. Sarah rolled her eyes. We needed it more than you. That's just facts. I reached for the doorknob, paused. Then you won't mind what's coming next. They laughed. But outside, something had already started. You always helped. That's what you're for, right? Hey, you okay? It was my cousin Jen, catching up to me outside as I marched to my car, fists clenched and jaw locked. No, I muttered, yanking open the door. I heard what Sarah said, she added carefully. That wasn't right. I didn't answer because if I spoke, I'd scream. The thing is, this wasn't the first time. 4 years I'd been the responsible one. The one with the stable job. The one who didn't need help. Somehow that made me the family wallet. Started small. Sarah forgot to pay her phone bill once. I covered it. Then Seth lost his job and asked to borrow a little something to get through the month. Then there was a birthday gift for their daughter that I offered to pay for, except I didn't offer. They just assumed I would. And every time they made it sound like I owed it to them. You're lucky, Mason, Mom would say, her voice sweet but sharp underneath. You don't have the struggles your sister does. God gave you ease so you could share it. Family means supporting each other, Dad chimed in more than once. You wouldn't be here if it weren't for us. Translation. Asterisk, we gave you life. Now give us your paycheck. Asterisk. I never asked for anything. Not when I was laid off for 6 months and lived off rice and eggs. Not when I skipped vacations for 3 straight years just to rebuild my savings. Not even when I helped pay off Sarah and Seth's credit card debt 2 years ago. They never paid me back. They never even said thank you. You still coming to the family reunion? Sarah had asked last week. Yeah, I replied. Should I bring something? Her answer came quick. Just bring yourself and your card. I thought it was a joke. Now I know it wasn't. 2 days after the incident, Sarah called. I didn't answer. She called again and again. Then Seth texted. Asterisk, just call her, man. She's freaking out. Asterisk. I finally picked up on the 5th try. Mason, she started, her voice low and shaky. We have a problem. Oh, we do. Look, don't be like that. Something happened. I stayed silent. She continued. The power company came today. We're behind on the bill, like way behind, and they're threatening to shut it off if we don't pay by Monday. So, she paused. So we need your help. I laughed. A short, bitter sound. You drained my savings, and now you're asking for more? It wasn't Jay. Significantly underrepresents global fatalities, particularly in Southeast Asian nations where medical data is incomplete. The bell of the jellyfish is nearly transparent, making it almost invisible in open water, in sunlit shallows, and even in murky coastal bays. Irukandji jellyfish. The irukandji is a box jellyfish with a bell roughly the size of a thumbnail, about 2.5 centimeters wide. It is one of the smallest creatures on this list, and by some measures the most terrifying. Found across the Indo-Pacific and increasingly detected in warming waters as far as the UK and Mediterranean, the irukandji is effectively invisible in open ocean. Unlike the box jellyfish, which can cause death in minutes from its sting alone, the irukandji operates with a more prolonged cruelty. The sting itself is often barely felt. Then, 20 to 30 minutes later, irukandji syndrome sets in. Full body cramps, catastrophic hypertension, relentless vomiting, and a neurological symptom that physicians have formally documented as a feeling of impending doom, so overwhelming that victims have begged their doctors to let them die. There is no antivenom. Over 25 species of box jellyfish are now known to cause the syndrome. The delayed onset means swimmers regularly return to shore before symptoms begin, sitting in the sun, not yet knowing. It is the smallest animal on this list. It may be the worst. If you want to see more, click the video on screen now.